Sergeyevich Filin, a man of early middle age and improbable beauty, sat behind the wheel of his car on a winter night driving toward home. It was 10 degrees Fahrenheit in the center of Moscow, a light snow in the air, snow on the rooftops, snow piled up in the lanes. Traffic was thick but brisk. Nearby, spotlights illuminated the Kremlin towers. Laughing skaters sliced along the vast ring set up for the season on Red Square. An immense white inflatable dome encased Lenin's tomb, sealing it off for structural repairs. Muscovites joked that the eternal resting place of their discredited forefather now looked like Chernobyl's reactor number 4. When Filin was in his 20s and 30s, he had been a principal dancer for the Bolshoi Ballet. He performed the glamour roles, Count Albrecht, in Giselle the Princess in the Nutcracker, Cinderella, Swan Lake, and The Sleeping Beauty. He was not the strongest dancer by the time he was 30, his jumps were low, his turnout was vague, but, with his pointed chin and light eyes, he retained a dashing presence. He was an effective mime. When Giselle would go into her mad scene, Filin had a way of putting his hands lightly to his temples as if to signal to the audience that he required 3 aspirin and a glass of water. He was 42 years old now, but his face was still unlined, his hair shaggy in a teen idol sort of way. His gaze was, it always seemed, confiding and unworried despite the great change in his life. Nearly 2 years earlier, he had become the Bolshoi's Kudruk, its artistic director. He did not pretend to dictate policy in the Bolshevik style of Yuri Grigorovich, an imperious second-rater who ruled the company by decree for 3 decades, from 1964 to 1995. But Filin did control the crucial matters of scheduling, casting, promotion, and repertoire. The fortunes of more than 200 dancers, many of them in a permanent state of anxiety about their mayfly careers, rested with him, with his judgments and his caprices. Filin drove a black Mercedes SUV. In what was once the land of the Lada, Bentleys and Maybachs had become a cliché. Moscow was now an oil and gas capital, with more billionaires than any other city in the world. Soviet-era shops with their sackcloth names, clothes and shoes, milk and vegetables had given way long ago to Dior and Chanel, Nobu and the Vogue Café. Filin savored his ride home. It gave him time alone to think. It had been an unusual evening. Ordinarily, Filin would have attended that night's performance at the Bolshoi at Swan Lake and then gone backstage to distribute to the company his congratulations and, perhaps, some gentle corrections. But on this night, January 17th, he went instead to a performance a short walk away, at the Moscow Art Theatre, which was celebrating the 150th anniversary of the birth of Konstantin Stanislavski, the theatre's founder. After the event, Filin walked back to the parking lot at the Bolshoi and got in his car. He pulled out of the lot onto Bolshoi Dmitrivka Street, turned onto the Boulevard Ring, and then onto the Garden Ring. Filin, his wife a Bolshoi dancer named Maria Mashapurovich and their 3 young sons lived just north of the Ring Road, at 9 Troitskaya Street. Their building was populated largely by performers and administrators at the Bolshoi. At around 11, Filin, feeling tired and eager to see his wife, steered the Mercedes into a parking lot outside his building and headed for his door. The snow was icy and thick. Filin was reaching for the security buzzer when he heard someone behind him call out his name. Then the voice said, "Teddy Privet!" Literally, "Hello to you," but more abrupt and menacing, as though someone were relaying an ominous greeting from a third party. Filin turned and saw a man in front of him. He was neither tall nor short. He wore a woolly hat and a scarf wrapped around his face. His right arm was crooked behind him, as if he were concealing something. The gun, Filin thought, in the flash of confrontation. He's holding a gun and I am dead. Bolt. But, before he could move, his attacker swung his arm out in front of him. In his hand was a glass jar filled with liquid, and he hurled its contents at Filin's face. A security camera in the parking lot fixed the time at 23:07. The liquid was sulfuric acid, the oil of vitriol, as medieval alchemists called it. Depending on the concentration, it can lay waste to human skin as quickly as in a horror movie. Scientists working with sulfuric acid wear protective goggles. Even a small amount in the eyes can destroy the cornea and cause permanent blindness. Filin was in agony. The burning was immediate and severe. His vision turned to black. He could feel the scalding of his face and scalp, the pain intensifying all the time. In those first seconds, all I could think was, how can I relieve the pain? Phelan told me later. The burning was so awful. I tried to move. I fell face first into the snow. I started grabbing handfuls of snow and rubbing it into my face and ice. I felt some small relief from the snow. I thought of how to get home. I was pretty close to my door. There's an electronic code and a metal door, but I couldn't punch in the numbers of the code. I couldn't see them. When I understood that I couldn't get into the building, I started shouting, "Help! Help! I need help!" But no one was around. I tried to make my way to another entrance, in the hope that someone would see me and help me. But that was not such a good idea, because I was falling down and getting up and bumping into cars and into walls and falling down because I couldn't see any steps. There was so much snow. Snow was coming down. I kept rubbing it into my face. Read more. http://www.newyorker.com/reporting/2013/18/130318 fog_fact_mnic number sign 9ZZ to NG8BithJJ